This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know it, even on a Monday that we can say that. Anyways, how are you? Today is Monday, June the 12th of 2023, day 163rd. Yes, I said third of the year, and only 202 days left to go. Anyways, how have you been? How was the weekend? Not the guy, but, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting, extravagant, anything that you want to brag about? Because we have a way that you can come about and brag about those things. So that's always kind of a fun stuff that we could do there. So don't worry about that. We'll get into that portion. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Even though I might need to argue that point, because it sounds like infiltration might not be a friendly aspect on doing some of the things that we do, now that I think about it. But hey, whatever. We're already being infiltrated. So anyways, we're going to talk today a little bit about everything that is going on inside of this multiverse of ours, because why would we not do that? Yes, a lot of interesting stuff coming out of Freeform Friday, so don't worry about that aspect. But let's talk today a little bit about everything, meaning the things that happened over the weekend, the things that we're going to chime about. Matter of fact, why don't we just talk about the things that are trending, because maybe that is going to be the easiest thing to do.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, more on the Chinese spy base in Cuba and in the historic envelope that hits the auction block. We'll talk about that as we get into the shit list. Conor McGregor sends Heat mascot to the emergency room, and Flavor Flav loves his fellow Swifties. We'll talk about that as we get into it. We'll talk about safety in a nutshell, so don't worry about that. We're going to do that as well, and then we'll go through the whole aspect on what is going on in the different news reports, because we prep you. We prep you in the morning on taking a listen to what the hell is going on inside of the world of the news. Now, listen, we hang out in all kinds of different places. If you want to take a look at what the hell we have going on, you can go to safetyfm.com. You can go to radiobig.fm. Safetyfm.com, the audio will kick in right there. Boom, 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 boom. Radiobig.fm, you click on it, listen now, you do the things there, you get that thing moving. Or you can click onto both sites, onto the visual radio section if you want to take a look at what we're doing during this hour. Woohoo! If you want to do that visual stuff, you have the aspect of doing that. Also, on the other side of the equation, as we are doing everything that we do, you can interact with the show. It's very easy to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That'll get everything moving and grooving for you because it makes everything simple by doing that. So don't worry, because we'll get you all set up in regards of doing everything inside of there. That's chat, that's video, that's audio. You do it, we're there, blah, 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 blah. If you go to the social media aspects, we really do appreciate it. I'm not saying that we don't. We just don't really pay a lot of attention to the stuff that comes across in the chat box inside of there as things are going through and through, because that's what it is. Keep in mind, always, as I like to say, radio station first. Visual radio is second, kind of the way, how the category lies, but we're definitely all full of sarcasm, talk about some safety stuff and everything along those lines. And that's it. That's the gig. That's the gig of what we do. We bring in some professional broadcasters. They give you the spill, and then we go from there. I like it. Some people like it. Some people enjoy it. Some people interact quite a bit. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, over the weekend, between Friday and now, or Friday and yesterday, if you did not catch it, but Jim Posel was on the Coast to Coast radio show once again, and he was very excited that he was not brought in as a safety expert, which I thought was kind of interesting. He was brought in as what we would call a regular guest. Now, if you're not familiar with Jim Posel, he does have a show here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 o'clock p.m. That's Eastern time, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, Safety Wars, in case you were wondering what is going on there. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we bring in the newscasters to let you know what the hell is going on in the world of the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Over 40 million Americans are on alert for severe weather early this week. Citizens from Denver down to Dallas and as far east as Charlotte may experience hail, winds up to 70 miles per hour, and possible tornadoes. Some parts of the country, including Alabama and Georgia, have already been pummeled by a line of intense storms pushing to the southeast. On Monday, the bad weather may move from central Texas towards the Florida Panhandle. Senator Lindsey Graham is defending former President Trump against federal charges under the Espionage Act.
Espionage charges are absolutely ridiculous.
Appearing on ABC's This Week, the South Carolina Republican insisted Trump is not a spy and never shared top-secret material with the media. Graham said that most Republicans believe a different set of rules is being used against Trump. Former President Trump planning to travel to Florida on Monday ahead of Tuesday's scheduled arraignment. That's according to multiple reports which note that Trump will spend the night at the Trump National Doral Miami Golf Resort. Late last week, the Justice Department unsealed a 37-count indictment against the former president, alleging he mishandled classified documents after leaving office. A portion of Interstate 95 in Philadelphia will remain closed after a tanker truck fire caused a collapse on Sunday morning. Trey Thomas reports.
Crews have since put out the flames, which started under the overpass, but quickly spread to the lanes above. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
At least one vehicle is still trapped underneath. Preliminary reports indicate that a commercial truck carrying a petroleum-based product was the source of the fire.
There are no reports of any injuries. I'm Trey Thomas.
And Spider-Man's stay at the top didn't last very long. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts opened with $60.5 million to edge out Spidey in this week's box office battle. Rounding out the top five, The Little Mermaid, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and The Boogeyman. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in the UK, I'm John Beaver. Ukrainian officials say they've reclaimed a number of villages and settlements in the southeast of the country that have been under Russian occupation since the invasion began. Japan says it will shoot down any North Korean projectiles, despite the expiration of Pyongyang's announced time window for launching a satellite. And beaches have been closed and people are being moved to safety as the Indian Weather Office has issued warnings about Cyclone Biparjoy.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
An attorney general who served in the Trump administration says painting the former president as a victim is ridiculous.
He was totally wrong. that he had the right to have those documents. Those documents are among the most sensitive secrets that the country has.
Speaking on Fox News Sunday, Bill Barr disagreed with claims by Trump and many Republicans that the Justice Department's 37-count indictment is politically motivated. Barr joined those who say Trump could have avoided federal charges if he had turned all the classified documents over to the government. The former Attorney General didn't mince words about the seriousness of the indictment, saying Trump is toast, even if half of the charges are true. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez is teasing a big announcement as speculation grows about a presidential run. Suarez told Fox News Sunday to stay tuned for his big speech Thursday at the Reagan Library in Simi Valley, California. Without mentioning a possible White House bid, Suarez said Americans should tune into the speech that will talk about what the country's future should look like. Suarez seemed to imply that he intends to enter the race when he said that he hopes to be included in the GOP debate in August. The governor of Oklahoma is endorsing Republican candidate Ron DeSantis for president. Scott Carr has more.
Republican Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt released a statement over the weekend calling DeSantis a strong and principled leader who could, he said, unwind the disastrous liberal mandates of the Biden administration. DeSantis had visited the Sooner State the day prior and received the endorsements of a former state congressman as well as 20 fellow Republican state lawmakers. Governor Stitt also suggests in a statement that DeSantis is a candidate who can win and keep winning as a two-term president. I'm Scott Carr.
And the 76th Annual Tony Awards celebrating Broadway plays and musicals took place Sunday night in New York. Hosted by Oscar winner Ariana DeBose, the ceremony was nearly canceled this year due to the ongoing Writers Guild of America strike. The award for Best Play went to Leopoldstadt, a production about the horrors of anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, Kimberly Akimbo took home Best Musical. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out and doing all the great stuff that we get to do on a Monday. Yeah, a Monday. You know, I always think it's kind of interesting on how people get all hung up about it being Monday. Like, oh, I have a case of the Mondays. It's a freaking day of the week, dude. I mean, it shouldn't be any different than any other day of the week, depending on how you take a look at this stuff. No, seriously. Like, I'm not as excited about Fridays as some people are, and I'm not as turned down by Monday as some people are. I mean, I don't get it. I just look at it as, hey, it's part of the 7-day roll on the way that it goes. I mean, if you're miserable, if you think about it, a friend of mine sent me this a long time ago. Well, not really a long time ago. I should probably say it was like about a month ago, so it wasn't that long. If you're miserable on a Monday and you live to the age of 70, that means you spent 10 years thereabout being miserable because it was Monday. Think about that for a moment. It might take you places. So let's start talking right away about some of the stuff that's going on. So last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Chinese government is negotiating with their Cuban counterparts to build a spy base to intercept electronic American military communication. Turns out the base has been up and running since 2019, but the CCP continues to enhance its capabilities and presence there. These developments come as the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, prepares the diplomatic trip to China this month. Yeah, to China. Worth noting, obviously, the Chinese spy base isn't new information for the highest levels of government, but its public details could add a new pressure to Blinken's trip. This is, of course, according to the Wall Street Journal. So what do you think about when you hear this? Because, of course, people are going to be like, well, should he go, not go, all that kind of fun stuff, because that's always going to be part of the equation. So what do you think? What do you think there? A lot of stuff. Of course there's a lot of stuff because it is a lot of stuff. So there you go. Anyways, days after the Department of Justice announced lawsuit against two former crypto exchanges, Crypto.com announced it's shutting down its institutional exchange, a special version of the trading platform for financial companies. Everyday consumers will still have access to the site. The company says that it has 50 million worldwide users and about 10%, which are in the U.S. But wait, Crypto.com has just applied for a license to operate in Singapore, whose governments would be more welcoming to their business model and practices. So what do you think here? I mean, I still think there's a lot of questions in regards of this stuff. I mean, let's just not lie about it. There's a lot of questions that come about when you start getting into crypto exchanges and all that kind of fun stuff. But then again, wasn't there like some weird thing a little while back of, oh yes, I need to invest in these little picture icon things, and they were going to make you multimillionaires? It's always about the same thing that I talk about. There is a market for everything. Let's not lie and say that there isn't, because there is. But you have to find somebody who's willing to invest into that. Like yesterday, I am walking. I'm walking down one of the malls here in the Orlando area, and all of a sudden, I start seeing these pictures, and the person that I'm with is telling me how beautiful these pictures are. And I look over, and it's irises. Yes, iris of your eye. I was just looking, and I was like, wow. And they were taking pictures inside of the mall of this thing, for they could actually do some kind of cutout for you. If you're interested in having it, you can do wall mount, chain, necklace, so on. And I think it was going for like $50 on the lowest end, all the way to like $200. And I just don't understand certain things. But then again, that's why I say there's a market for everything.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, take a listen to this. Data analyst company WealthX has published its annual billionaire census, revealing where the world's richest folks live. In New York City looks to be the top spot with 136 billionaires, calling the city home in 2022. Around the world, 3,194 people have the net worth in the 10 figures. Last year, a collective net worth fell more than 5%, but then followed the enormous gains many saw back in 2021. So there you go. If you want to see the list, you can find it via WealthX, because do we really need to know? I'm just asking. Anyways, an envelope, the only ever sent from Vermont via Pony Express, is hitting the auction block. Postmark October the 5th, 1861, is one of the last letters to be carried by the mail service. It is addressed to John H. Lyons, who lived in the town of Colchester. According to H.R. Hammer Fine Stamp Auction, the unknown sender spent $1, about $35 today, to send the letter. Bids will start at $2,500. The auction goes on June the 21st. Fun fact, the Pony Express ran from April 1860 to October 1861. During that time, 35,000 pieces of mail were carried. This is all according to WCAX, just so you know. What do you think? What do you think? A lot of stuff, huh? So let's continue talking a little bit more, of course. A mass graveyard full of headlines of well, let me rephrase that. A massive graveyard is making headlines because it had a full amount of headless skeletons and anti-vampire items that has been discovered in northern Poland by a group working the road near the 18th century church. Many of the 450 bodies that were positioned in decapitated skulls between the legs and coins in their mouth. The anti-vampire ritual that was common in the 19th century, according to Stomsky Maljak, who is the leading excavation person. Malvac says we're told the first news that the suspicious family members would dig up their loved ones, decapitate them, and end the vampire curse. As for the coin, well, it apparently sealed the person's soul and gave them the currency to travel into the afterlife. Last year, the different set of Polish researchers found remains of a female vampire who had been buried in a sickle on her neck and a padlock on her toe to prevent her from returning from the dead. This is according to First News. I'm telling you, this is like legit news. I'm not just randomly making this shit up as I'm talking about it. Now, I'm being dead serious. So just keep that in mind. So take a listen to this. Let's talk about the box office real quick, because some people are going to care about that. So let's go 10 to 1, 1 to 10. Let's do 10 to 1 because it sounds a lot better. Weekend box office went something like this. Past Lives, $520,000 at number 10. At number 9, The Machine, $575,000. At number 8, About My Father, $845,000. At number 7, The Super Mario Brothers movie with $2.1 million. At number 6, Fast X, $5.17 million. At number 5, Boogeyman, $6.9 million. At number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, $7 million. The Little Mermaid came in at number 3 at $22.7 million. At number 2 was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, $55 million. And at the number 1 spot was Transformers Rise of the Beast, $60 million. I don't know. I'm wondering how The Flash is going to do, because that one's scheduled to come out later this week. So it'll be interesting to see what the hell goes on there. That is for sure. Anyways, with that being said, let's do this. Let's go ahead and get you into some news and information, and we will get you into what the hell let's do this. Let's do the market beat with John Smalls. I think that's going to be important right now.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, June 12th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets were able to advance Friday after a week of consolidation. The S&P 500 moved up through the 4,300 level to set a new 12-month high, and it may keep going higher. However, the move is not driven by any fundamental factor that can be pinned down, so the bottom could fall out of the market at any time. This week's risk is multifaceted and could be the difference between a summer rally and a quick reversal. Topping the list of market-moving events is the FOMC meeting. They're not expected to hike rates, but they may surprise the market with its statement. The CPI is another market-moving event, and it comes out ahead of the FOMC announcement. Whatever the market thinks will happen at the meeting could change given the CPI news. After that, it's the retail sales figure, which is due out Thursday. Retail sales are expected to rise year over year, but not enough to offset inflation. The takeaway is that demand is in decline, only we're paying more for what we get. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, that's for sure. Here's what I was able to find. The Dow added about 43 points to close at 33,876 on Friday. The S&P added about 4 points to close at 2,498, and the NASDAQ added about 20 points to close at 13,259. West Texas Intermediate closed at $70 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $75 a barrel. The national average of price of a gallon of gas was $3.59 on Sunday. Bitcoin continues to struggle, trading just under $26,000 over the weekend, and there was more than 2,435 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, with about 117 cancellations. Let's see. Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $260 million jackpot or $134.3 million cash payout. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $324 million jackpot or $167.3 million payout. So there you go. If you want to play. If that's what you want to do. If you don't want to do that, so then don't do it. So there you go. Anyways, take a listen to this. An American citizen is being detained in Russia, has been identified as Michael Travis Leak. Trey Thomas has more.
U.S. Embassy officials confirmed his identity and attended his arraignment on Saturday. Russian courts say Leak was arrested on drug charges. According to a Russian TV outlet, Leak is maintaining his innocence, saying he doesn't know what he's been accused of. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Trey Thomas, for letting us know what is going on there. There you go. Take a listen. The man accused of killing a homeless man in a chokehold in New York City subway has released a video statement through his attorney. Daniel Penny and his team released a series of videos Sunday evening where Penny recounts his thoughts leading up to the encounter that resulted in Jordan Neely's death on May the 1st.
The three main threats that he repeated over and over was, I'm going to kill you, I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die.
Penny says that he was not trying to kill Neely, but just to restrain him until the police arrived. He also disputed the length of the time that Neely was placed in the chokehold, saying that there was nowhere near as long as it has been reported. Penny has also been charged with manslaughter of Jordan Neely's death and due back in court on July the 19th. Daniel Penny disputes the length of what the chokehold was. Take a listen.
Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Neely for 15 minutes. This is not true. The whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes.
Penny insists that it wasn't about race.
I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Neely.
Hey, listen, I'm going to say this because, I think that it's kind of going to be slightly one of those weird things to talk about. But have you ever been put into a chokehold? Have you ever put somebody in a chokehold? If you've ever practiced any kind of, we'll say Brazilian jiu-jitsu in particular, you learn how to do chokeholds normally, depending on, how long you go in through the whole process. But if you learn how to do that, I don't think your arms could handle you doing a 15-minute chokehold. And listen, I'm not defending anybody here. Just want to make sure that I'm clear here. But you holding somebody in a chokehold for 15 minutes, I think it would be a very difficult thing to do unless you're kind of a higher level. And now I'm not familiar enough with Penny to be able to tell you anything. In regards of if he had that kind of skill set, but it is something to think about because just think about how your arms would burn out in regards of doing it.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. The National Association of City Transportation says the average red light is about to get 90 seconds. Yeah, Bree Tennis knows what you're doing, so take a listen.
For daily commuters, that's about 20% of your driving. AAA says over your lifetime of commuting from age 15 to 65, that adds up to 2,930 hours of waiting at red lights, or about 4 months of your life. So what are you doing during that time? The NTSB says 44% of us text, 46% do personal grooming like shaving or putting on makeup. Then there's a much smaller group that use that red light time for various stages of getting busy. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Hold on. What? Let's go to that last part again. Hold on. What did she just say there towards the end? Let's take a listen to that.
I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News. Stages of getting busy. That use that red light time for various stages of putting on makeup. Then there's a much smaller group that use that red light time for various stages of getting busy.
I want to understand.
I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Explain that one to me. How do you have that kind of time in 90 seconds? I mean, sounds like an ad placement right there in regards of talking about what would come to mind next. That's for sure. No doubt about that aspect as we are talking. So keep that in mind as things move and groove as we go through the whole process in talking about a few of those things. But hey, I guess things do tend to get interesting from time to time as we are talking. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are happening inside of the world. At least 3 people are dead after a shooting in a home in Maryland. Annapolis Mayor Gavin Buckley says it yet another example of senseless violence.
People trying to resolve issues with guns. It is the most ridiculous thing that we can do as a society. We have to do things to stop this.
Okay, let's see. Police confirmed that there is 6 victims shot on Sunday in the capital city of Annapolis. A person of interest was taken into custody, but a firm motive is unknown. Authorities are calling for an interpersonal dispute and adding that there is no public safety threat at the community as of the investigation. Annapolis Mayor Gavin Buckley says that people need to rethink their decisions before resorting to gun violence.
We are saddened for the families, saddened for Annapolis that they have to deal with things like this, but pointing out that this sort of thing can happen anywhere and nothing gets resolved through the use of a gun.
Yep, very true. Those words being said right there. Anyway, I got something that's coming through in the pike real quick, so let's do something slightly out of the ordinary. So let's take a listen to this.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in the UK, I'm John Beaver. Ukrainian officials say they've reclaimed a number of villages and settlements in the southeast of the country that have been under Russian occupation since the invasion began. It's the first notable gain since Kyiv's counteroffensive got underway and sparked days of heavy fighting. Ukrainian commanders admit they've taken casualties, but claim Russian losses are much worse. Retired British Army officer Major General Rupert Jones says the current phase of the conflict is slow going.
It's like a wall they've got to fight their way through. In places, the defences are 30 kilometres deep. So they've got to probe, they've got to try and pull the Russian reserves this way and then that way, and then try and find some momentum.
Meanwhile, the UN's nuclear watchdog has expressed concern over the water levels at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant after a major dam supplying the plant was breached last week. Japan says it's remaining vigilant and will shoot down any North Korean projectiles despite the expiration of Pyongyang's announced time window for launching a satellite. Last month, North Korea said it would attempt satellite launches at any time up until June the 11th. Chris Gibson reports from Tokyo.
Japan responded to the announcement by Pyongyang by preparing its defences to destroy any projectiles launched from North Korea that it deemed threatening to Japanese territory. The time window provided by Pyongyang for launches closed on Sunday, but Japan has not changed its defensive posture, extending the order to shoot down any North Korean projectiles for the time being. It followed Pyongyang's attempted launch of a satellite on May 31st, which failed, North Korea declaring it would try again as soon as possible. Japan says it would consider any future launches a use of ballistic missile technology in breach of UN Security Council resolutions. Chris Gilbert in Tokyo.
Beaches have been closed and people are being moved to safety as the Indian Weather Office has issued warnings about cyclone Biparjoy. It's expected to make landfall between the western Indian state of Gujarat and southern parts of Pakistan this week and has intensified into what's called an extremely severe cyclonic storm. Rebecca Bundan reports from Mumbai.
Cyclone Biparjoy is expected to make landfall on Thursday between Mandvi in the Indian state of Gujarat and Karachi in Pakistan, with winds gusting up to 150 kilometers per hour, according to the Indian Meteorological Department. People in some coastal areas of Gujarat are being evacuated, and India's national and state disaster response forces are deploying teams to areas that are likely to be hit. Pakistan's government has also advised authorities in vulnerable areas to be alert. The storm has brought bad weather to India's financial capital Mumbai, with flights being delayed due to bad weather. Rebecca Bunds in Mumbai.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, what is Boris Johnson up to? The former British Prime Minister resigned from the country's parliament on Friday, a stunning move ahead of a report by a parliamentary committee that was poised to recommend his temporary suspension as a lawmaker due to the illegal parties he held at number 10 Downing Street during COVID-19 lockdowns. Johnson issued a damning resignation statement slamming the government of current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, a fellow member of the Conservative Party, and he hinted that he may seek to return to Parliament and to prominence eventually.
It's almost always a mistake to try to deconstruct the mind or intentions of Boris Johnson.
Matthew Parris is a former Conservative Member of Parliament and leading political columnist in the UK.
Three things you have to remember about Boris are that what he really likes is A, attention, B, chaos, and C, revenge. And he has got attention, chaos, and revenge in spades already. I doubt he's completely made up his mind what he'll do next, but at the moment he'll just be loving the attention and loving the complete chaos that he's created. I've written him off often enough, and I'm not going to make that mistake again.
One British government minister said on Sunday that the world has moved on from Boris Johnson, but the former Prime Minister may disagree. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories. Ukrainian officials say they've reclaimed a number of villages and settlements in the southeast of the country that have been under Russian occupation since the invasion began. Japan says it will shoot down any North Korean projectiles despite the expiration of Pyongyang's announced time window for launching a satellite. And beaches have been closed and people are being moved to safety as the Indian Weather Office has issued warnings about Cyclone Biparjoy. That's the latest feature story news. John Beaver reporting.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, Internet Service Providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
If you think local radio sucks, wait till you hear our free-form station, Radio Big.
There's always something, trying hard to find the words I get. I get so desperate, trying hard to work for
Okay, there you go. 42 minutes past the top of the hour. This right here, The Way We Left It by The Interstate. Yeah, that's playing here on the Rated R Safety Show. So there you go. This is hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show, just in case you were wondering. We go all 3 hours on Radio Big. First hour on Safety FM. And Radio Big, of course. So there you go. We would like to thank Interstate for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Yep, The Way We Left It. Yeah. You can give it a little streamer-eamer action if you'd like. YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, just to name a few. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get into the move and the groove of the things that we're going to talk about. Let me tell you about the most important thing that I'm ever going to tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. no matter what you are facing, you deserve to be connected with help. Let's make sure that we're clearly aware of this. So to find out more information, all you have to do is go to twloha.com. That's twloha.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. It's all the way to the right-hand side of the website. So that will get you all set up right there. Click on it. All kinds of resources that are there. You can use Find Help tool to locate free and or reduced cost counseling and other mental health resources in the community and select several levels of care that you're looking for. All you have to do is put in your keywords or the zip code that you're looking at, and that will take care of all of it. No, seriously, we'll take care of all of it right there. So there you go. Just some things to think about as we are talking. So there you go. twloha.com. So let's get into some other things that are happening inside of the world of the newso, because we're going to have some time to do that today. So let's go through some of the things, and let's just talk about PlaneSmart. Yes, PlaneSmart. Well, why not? On a long flight, most of us try to sleep anyways. On Air New Zealand is promising a bunk bed in the sky. The company reimagined economy class seating arrangement. Skynest won the Cabin Concept Awards this year of the prestigious Crystal Cabin Award, which celebrates the innovation in airplane cabin interiors. The beds on board concept, set to debut in 2024, works like this. 6 sleep pods and a bunk bed configuration will be available on select planes. The pods will be located between the economy and premium economy cabins. So let's see. So for those long haul routes, including the 17-hour direct flight to New York City and Auckland, which is among the longest flights in the world, passengers will be able to pre-book a slot in the pod. U.S. dollars, you're looking at about $254 to $380 for a 4-hour block, in addition to the regular cost of the ticket. The cabin crew will change out the bedding after each use. Why 4-hour blocks? Well, the airline found that research that a typical sleep cycle is around 90 minutes, so a 4-hour session gives the opportunity to the customer to wind down, fall asleep, wake up. Just an hour and a half to wind down. These people obviously don't have TikTok, because come on. I can definitely see the use for this, especially when you consider that eating on an airplane food, I usually feel the need to lie down. So I guess that's what it is. So there you go. I guess, should we start talking about that Father's Day thing? Because that's happening this weekend, or should we not talk about it? Of course, we'll talk about it. According to a survey, 57% of dads call Father's Day their favorite day of the year, and you'll still got time to make sure that the dad feels the same. According to a survey conducted in the U.S., the average person spends about $196.23 on dear old dad on Father's Day this year, and up to $171.79 last year. 40% will be getting their dad something practical like socks or a toolkit. Others top ideas for a dad this Sunday include an order or a meal outing, such as dinner or brunch, clothing, gift card, electronics, or personal care items. Nearly 1/3, or 29% of those celebrating Father's Day, are planning to give dad a gift experience, such as tickets to a sporting event or a concert. By the way, in a survey of the top 5 gifts that dad said that they don't want are in order: clothing, books, CDs, greeting cards, and personal care items, and gift cards. And interestingly, 64% of dads specifically said that they don't want anything that says "World's Best Dad" on it. Well, what my kids get for me on Father's Day, I hope I can afford it. So that's normally my thing that I'm looking for. And did anyone think of asking Dad what he actually wants? Maybe that's the other side of the thing to think about. No, seriously, think about that.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, take a listen to this. Scientists say that after identifying the link between the risk of cancer and clusters of chemical in individual cells, that the screening program that could currently detect tumors decades in advance is on the horizon. The breakthrough offers developing personalized vaccines and on vulnerable patients. Lead author Professor Simon Kahn, well, there, go figure that one, on Flinders University in Australia, said that the environmental and genetic factors have long been believed as the major contribution to cancer. For this development makes the likelihood of curing cancer much higher. So there you go. I guess there is some things of the good to be looking for. So there you go. What do you think? What do you think about it? Does it make you get all warm and fuzzy all over? I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't know how it makes you feel. I'm asking you how you feel about it. That's the great question of all time. So let's talk real quick about some other things that are going on inside of the world. The Republican chair of the House Judiciary Committee claims that President Donald Trump had already declassified the documents that the FBI found in Mar-a-Lago Resort. Mark Mayfield has more.
Speaking on CNN's State of the Union, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan acknowledged Trump could not declassify documents after he was no longer president, but he did so while he was in the White House. When asked what evidence he had that the former president had declassified the documents, Jordan said that Trump told him so. Jordan's claims are in contrast to allegations in the DOJ's indictment of Trump that the former president was recorded admitting he could not declassify a particular document because he was no longer in office. I'm Mark Mayfield.
What a cluster of stuff, huh? I mean, we're going to hear this for a few days. You are aware of this. This is just kind of the way that it goes. So we'll talk about that more and more as we are going through it. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. Over 40 million Americans are on alert for severe weather early this week. Mark Mayfield explains.
Citizens from Denver down to Dallas and as far east as Charlotte may experience hail, winds up to 70 miles per hour, and possible tornadoes. Some parts of the country, including Alabama and Georgia, were already getting pummeled by a line of intense storms that was pushing southeast. On Monday, the bad weather may move from central Texas towards the Florida Panhandle. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield, for the information right there on what exactly is going on inside of the world of all that kind of fun stuff. Because, hey, listen, people want to know what is going on, especially when it comes to weather, because it could have a huge impact depending on where you are located in the country. We know this. So thank you. Anyways, with that being said, let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring some John Smalls into our life, and let's go ahead and have that Motivation Minute where we can all be motivated.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Frank. Johnny Cash said, "Trust gets you killed, love gets you hurt, and being real gets you hated." I love that. I actually got a few different Johnny Cash quotes this week from two different people. Thanks to both of you. This one makes you think, why is that? Why do people hate those who tell the truth and are just being real? Sometimes I think it may be the way they tell the truth. I've been put in a position where I needed to be a little kinder in the way I told somebody the harsh reality. It's not a fun place to be. You don't usually make friends there, but in the end, be honest and be real. And if that doesn't work for them, that's on them. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alessamorgan.com. Leptin's main function is to help regulate the long-term balance between your body's food intake and energy use or expenditure. It helps prevent hunger and regulates energy balance so that your body doesn't trigger a hunger response when it doesn't need more calories. What is leptin resistance? In the same way that people develop insulin resistance, where it takes more insulin to do physiological jobs in the body, people with higher body mass require more leptin to signal the hypothalamus to be satisfied. Another way to explain this is that they require more leptin to invert a starvation response that the brain has where the alarm bells start going off because it thinks it doesn't have enough body fat. The concept of leptin resistance is still being researched, specifically what exactly happens with neurons and circuitry. For more, check out alessamorgan.com.
Starting tomorrow, Binance customers will no longer be able to use U.S. dollars to buy crypto on the platform. In announcing the development, Binance blamed the Securities and Exchange Commission for what it called unjustified civil claims against the business. The SEC filed 13 charges against Binance last week, requesting a temporary restraining order to prevent asset flight. Oklahoma Senator James Lankford has filed a bill to address the rise of artificial intelligence. Lankford joined fellow Republican Mike Braun and Democrat Gary Peters to introduce a bill on Thursday that would require federal agencies to tell people when they're using AI to interact with them. The bill would also mandate that agencies allow people to appeal decisions made by AI. It was one of two bipartisan AI bills introduced in the Senate last week, with the other establishing an office to ensure that the U.S. stays at the forefront of artificial intelligence technology. And Mark Zuckerberg announcing artificial intelligence breakthroughs at his companies. The Meta CEO told employees that Instagram will soon allow users to modify photos via text prompts. Tech Report, Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Yeah, what she said. 54 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this fantastic Monday. Or should it be a marvelous Monday? Or should it just be Monday? Maybe we should go with that. Anyway, so we're getting you rowdy for everything. Did I say rowdy? I meant rowdy. I meant rowdy. I meant ready. You know what I meant. You know what I meant to say. Anyways, at the top of the hour, we will be going over to radiobig.fm to hang out and talk about the world of music and entertainment, and of course play some great music because it's normally handpicked by me. No, so I'm just saying. If not, you can hang out here on Safety FM and take a listen to what our good old friend Sheldon Primus has to say, because he's always talking about the world of safety consulting. So we'll do that if you hang out over here. Anyways, with that being said, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. So you ready for this? Let's talk about this, which I normally wouldn't talk about, but I'll talk about it anyways. E.T. premieres today. Back in 1982, the film was one of Steven Spielberg's early major success. It was a hit both commercially and critically, and even earned a Best Picture and Best Director nomination at the Academy Awards, among others. It would win in the other four categories, such as sound effects editing, visual effects, original score, and sound. So there you go. That happened back in 1982. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's talk about some of those. Cody Horn turns 35. Dave Franco and Kendra Wickinson and Chris Young all turned 38. Let's see. Adriana Lima, 42. Lil Duvall, 46. Mark Henry, 52. Damon Bufford, 53. Jordan Peterson, he turned 61 today. Rebecca Holden, 65. And Alan Desert turned 72. So there you go. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It is National Red Nose Day, National Loving Day. Got a question about that one. International Falafel Day, National Peanut Butter Cookie Day, Superman Day, and I saw this one over here. Today is Jerk Day. And although the bowl of men that are named Jerky because of the best road snacks, I mean, I don't know. So it's because of beef jerky. So think about that. So Jerky Day, just in case. I had all kinds of other thoughts that came to mind when I read that. I was like, what? What do you mean Jerky Day? So there you go, as we are talking. What else? Let's do this. Let's do some whack facts real quick. Earth travels through space at 660,000 miles per hour. Think about that for a moment. And studies show that usually the most talkative spouse who gets her or his way. I mean, think about that. Crayola is a French word that means oily chalk. Swallowing uses about 25 muscles. The height of a bowling pin is equal to its circumference. And there wasn't a single pony in the Pony Express, just horses. Think about that, because we talked about that a little bit earlier. So there you go. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those. I made a huge to-do list today. I just can't figure out who's going to do it. If you need a question for the water cooler, try this one. Question. In 1950s, the only 7% of women did this. Now 75% do this. What is it? It's dye their hair. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is the first thing that you ever saved up to buy? So there you go. And anyways, before I forget, let me mention this real quick because it is upon us. End of September, if you want to come and hang out, Conklin Conference taking place in Orlando, Florida, September the 27th through the 29th. If you want to find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io to find out some more information. More information right there, safetyfm.io. So if I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. The difference between greed and ambition is greedy person desires things that he isn't prepared to work for. So there you go. Are you greedy or are you ambitious? Maybe that's something to think about today. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, we could not do what we do around here. That is for sure. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
I get so desperate, trying not to work for someone else. I hear a siren, like a million voices scream out loud.